Alrighty, everybody, good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining me here at the Atlanta News First Alert Desk. I am SAVANNAH LOUIE. I've got your top 5 stories for this evening, September 7th here, Thursday. Happy to have you with us, and we are just going to get straight into it. I want to start here with the latest in the developing trial out of Fulton County involving former President Donald Trump and 18 other co-defendants. The news today that's coming down is that the former president has attempted to make a movement from his case here in Fulton County to make it a federal case. And from here, I'm going to have our reporter Doug Reardon explain what this means for the potential trial. Take a listen.
A move to federal court would mean a few things for Donald Trump. He'd have a larger jury pool and possibly a more conservative one if it includes people from outside Fulton County. But other than that,
so nothing really changes except for the venue.
Georgia State law professor Anthony Christ says Trump still couldn't pardon himself if convicted, and Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis would still be the one prosecuting him. 2 of Trump's co-defendants will face her at trial in October.
I think what Donald Trump's team is attempting to do is a signal to Judge McAfee, we're not going to be ready for an October trial.
On Thursday, Willis clapped back at a possible federal investigation into the charges by the House Judiciary Committee and their chair, Ohio Representative Jim Jordan. Willis said a federal probe would be, quote, obstruction and unconstitutional. Up the road from her office on Thursday, State Senator Colton Moore fired up an enthusiastic crowd with another public call for a special session to defund and possibly impeach Willis over her election indictment.
Well, let me be more clear. When I say defund Fani Willis, I mean defund all of her Georgia state tax dollars besides the $1 that we are constitutionally required to give her.
The bulk of Willis's funding, however, comes from the county. Willis had no response to Moore's calls to investigate her, but last week, Governor Brian Kemp called the move a, quote, grifter scam to raise funds for Moore's campaign. At a rally after Moore's press conference, his supporters echoed his call for something to be done.
The worst thing is when people know about something and they don't investigate it.
And that was our political reporter, Doug Reardon, reporting there. Now, you heard Doug briefly mention in that story a little bit about Fani Willis and her clap back today to one congressman who has basically tried to take a closer look at Fani Willis and her investigation into the former president here. Well, today we are learning that she has issued a very sharply worded response to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan of Ohio earlier today. She accused him of trying to obstruct the prosecution of this racketeering case against the former president. Now, Jordan is a former Trump ally, and last month he said that his committee was launching an investigation into whether Fani Willis coordinated with federal officials when indicting Trump and the 18 other defendants there. Now, in response, Willis has said to Jordan that his request for information on this case, including details about any communications between her office and the Biden administration, was an, quote, unjustified and illegal intrusion into an open state criminal prosecution. And she also argued that Congress is lacking the jurisdiction to request information about the state's criminal case into Trump and his co-defendants. So those are just the latest actions today coming from Fulton County leaders in regards to this huge trial that is capturing the eyes of our country right now. All right, I do want to get to another story, though, that is getting some national attention as well. You've heard us mention time and time again this year about inmates at the Fulton County Jail who have died while they have been at that jail. We have just this week reached 10 inmates who have passed away at the Fulton County Jail, and today, the very latest, we are hearing from one of the inmates' parents, his mother, as they try to figure out what exactly led up to his death. We're told that this man, you see him right here, 24-year-old Chandre Delmore, was in jail for a second-degree burglary charge. And we're also told that he died of cardiac arrest, but no details on the circumstances. Now, the family attorney for the family blames the system for not only Delmore's death, but the other people, the 9 others who have died in that jail just this year. Again, we heard from the mother of this 10th inmate who passed away. She tells us that she actually flew to Fulton County from out of state when she heard her son was unresponsive. And unfortunately, by the time she got here to Fulton County, it was too late. Delmore had passed away. I also want to mention, too, the Department of Justice is currently looking into the conditions of the Fulton County Jail because this has been an ongoing issue for months and months now. All right, want to move straight ahead here to another development in a big story. We are talking about the Atlanta Public Safety Training Facility. All eyes have been on this facility now for years as people have been protesting the site. News today, 5 people have been arrested. You can see here one of the activists and police taking another activist into custody. We're told that these people had chained themselves to construction equipment. They called it the People's Stop Work Order. Police had to use bolt cutters to detach these people from the construction equipment and then drag them off to the police vehicles there to take them into custody. But again, this follows years of protests, and the very latest, we know that more than 60 people have now been indicted for RICO charges for their involvement with some protests that have either gotten out of hand and violent, or their involvement in donating to campaigns that have helped some of those people who have been involved in the violent protests. This really seems like the story that will not stop. So, as we learn more, we will, of course, continue to bring you all the latest on the public safety training facility as it comes in. All right, final story I want to get for you tonight. Very rarely do we laugh at arrests. They're not something that are typically funny, but I had to show you this. This is pretty amusing. I've never heard of anything quite like this. This is a hamster wheel, and inside is a man who has since been arrested for trying to cross the Atlantic Ocean in this wheel. Ray Baluchi is the man. He was about 70 nautical miles off of Tybee Island when he told the Coast Guard he was heading for London in this wheel. Can you believe it? The Coast Guard couldn't get him to cooperate. They tried to tell him, hey, turn back around. But they say he was armed with weapons. And now eventually this man surrendered to authorities, which is good news there. But I'm curious if he would actually have made it all the way to the other side of the ocean. That's pretty incredible, isn't it? All right, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining me here at the Atlanta News First Alert Desk. I'm SAVANNAH LOUIE, and with that, we are going to send you out with a picture of the Midtown Atlanta skyline. And on deck, we have our meteorologist, Patrick Pete, with the latest forecast. And Patrick, I got some plans Saturday night, and I feel like we're looking at a first alert here. Is that what I'm seeing?
It is. Some showers and thunderstorms are in the cards for us as we head towards your Saturday. Sorry, it's Thursday today. You know how it is once you get close to the end of the week. How y'all doing today? We had some showers and thunderstorms today in far east Georgia, clearing overnight. Winds have shifted. Air's a little bit drier, even though temperatures got into the low 90s today. Actually felt quite nice because of that drier air that was building in on the backside of that cold front. That is going to set us up for an amazing day tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're going to see another system move in as we head into the weekend. First alert for Saturday, shower and thunderstorms. This isn't going to be a widespread, everybody get some of that, but we are going to be watching for some of those storms to fire up for the second half of the day, which will put a little bit of a damper on some of your plans. I know UGA's plans at home Saturday, and so is Georgia Tech, if I'm not mistaken. Not to mention, we have all those things that you could be doing this weekend, which if you tune in tonight at 10, Alan's going to be breaking all that down for you on things to do. Meanwhile, the rain chances are going to stick around a little bit Sunday. Looks like Sunday will be a little bit drier than what we're tracking for your Saturday. And then we start off next Monday with lots of sunshine. Let's talk about the good times first. And tomorrow's going to be awesome. Upper 60s by the time you get on the roadways tomorrow morning. Grab the sunglasses. It's in the low 80s around lunchtime, getting into the mid 80s around 3 o'clock. I think it's a great day to go cycling or jogging, running, anything outdoors. We top out in the upper 80s, and it's going to feel amazing. A nice little breeze all day. Gorgeous forecast. And even as we start off your Saturday morning, things aren't looking too bad. Mainly dry, numbers in the mid 60s across most of the region. We'll see temperatures climb into the 80s in the afternoon, but you'll see some of those specks of green popping up everywhere. Those are going to be those pop-up showers and thunderstorms. While there isn't really a real risk for severe weather, any of these showers and thunderstorms that fire up, we'll be able to produce some heavy downpours, and we'll want you to at least be aware of that, especially if you're going to any of these stadiums to hang out all day. Maybe a good idea to have that poncho in the back pocket, just in case. Those showers and thunderstorms will start to taper off after sunset. We'll get quieter as we get closer to 11 o'clock, and those numbers will yet again cool down. The 7-day forecast shows that we're still dealing with some clouds on Sunday and some showers, mainly for the eastern part of our state. And then we trend drier by Monday with highs in the upper 80s. Next Tuesday is going to feature a couple of clouds building back into the forecast. Better chances for rain, though, Wednesday evening into Thursday as another system pushes through the region. That's going to also drop those temperatures down to the lower 80s by next Thursday afternoon. So a lot of things happening here in the forecast. Definitely one of those weeks where you're going to plan accordingly. Once again, the first alert for tomorrow I don't think is going to be so overwhelming that you need to cancel your plans, but it's more first alert for Saturday. But what we want to do is just give you that heads up about that rain chance that's in the forecast. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the tropics. You can see a very healthy system here in Lee. Hurricane Lee, well-defined eye. You can look at the outflow on almost all the sides. That lets you know that this storm is breathing well, which means that barring any interaction with land, it's going to continue to intensify, and being that it's not going to interfere with land over the next 24 hours, and we actually think it's a little bit longer than that, we're still going to be dealing with the system that is going to be developing. Here's a look at the stats. Wind sustained at 130 miles per hour. This is a very powerful Category 4 storm, about 780 miles to the east of the Leeward and Windward Islands. This is moving at about 15 miles per hour towards the west-northwest. Here's that forecast track, and you can see it's going to miss the Caribbean altogether, which is great. No land to slow it down. But what we do think is going to happen at some point, and to be quite honest and transparent, I remember being in grad school and us dealing with like modeling these systems, and the part of meteorology that is probably the most unknown is the part that deals with the eye wall replacement cycle and with these hurricanes. And what we can tell is that normally whenever these hurricanes intensify quickly, normally shortly thereafter it goes through an eye wall replacement cycle. And in order for the eye wall to replace itself, the system has to weaken. It actually typically expands, which means that the wind field will get larger, but the winds will come down a little bit. I know that may seem like a lot of information, but this is the place to do it because I only have 3 minutes to talk to you on the air. But whenever a system goes through that eye wall replacement cycle, you typically get a weakening of the storm. So that's what we expect to happen after it rapidly intensifies to a Cat 5 storm sometime before noon tomorrow. So we expect those winds tomorrow morning to be near 165. And those are sustained winds. The gusts are definitely going to be higher than that. So thankfully, it will go through this cycle and it'll weaken a little bit. The forecast continues to keep it curving on off to the north, which is great news. Most of the models do that. I think there's like, out of about 25 or so that I've seen, there were like maybe 3 that were not curving it off to the north. So we like our math right there. Meanwhile, something else that happened this afternoon, we were tracking Tropical Depression 14. That became Tropical Storm Margot. Wind sustained at 40 miles per hour. It's moving towards the west-northwest at about 17 miles per hour. So the good news with this system is the forecast is for this to curve towards the north. Before it interferes or interacts with cooler waters, we still expect some intensification out of this system. So we fully expect Margot to become a hurricane at some point this weekend. So we'll be watching for that. But thankfully, curving out to sea means no interaction for us. I'm going to throw you back out to the city real quick while I get that 7-day forecast back up for you. And I'm also going to take a look at our YouTube stream. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I see a lot of you are out there. Looking to see if I see any questions, and I don't, which is great news. So we'll leave you with the 7-day forecast while we will review again that tomorrow is going to turn fantastic. Temperatures are in the upper 80s, but it's going to be very comfortable and lots of sunshine. A first alert is in the forecast for Saturday, as there will be the chance for some afternoon pop-up showers and storms. Some of that rain is going to stick around. We'll see a little bit of instability east of the city for some showers on Sunday, and then we're back into sunny territory by Monday. So I have answered the one question that I just saw pop up, and that means the rest of you guys are good. So I'm going to leave you with the 7-day, and we will prepare for our 10 o'clock newscast on Peachtree TV, and we will catch you guys in about an hour and a half. Have a fantastic Thursday.